Like a reveal.
Hello and welcome to the Being and Becoming podcast. I'm joined today by a very special guest, my own sister, Aleia Hauer. Aleia, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me.
I know it's a big honor being on the show, so thanks for joining me today.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. I'm
And
excited.
it's special because
Oh, wait, hang on. Let me clock in. Okay.
wait, the first 10 minutes don't count towards what I'm paying. No, but thanks
15
for coming
hours.
on.
15 hours.
It's special because the very first episode of the show last year, Luke was the first guest, and I wanted you to be the first guest of this year, but this
Oh.
will air April 1st, so we're well into the year, but it is our first episode of the year. So a
Well,
huge
thank you.
honor.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
Well, I figured, Aleia, we might, for our listeners at home, we might delve into a little bit of your background. Maybe where are you now in the world, and what are you doing for work, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I would love to. So, I am currently in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been out here for almost 8 years.
I'm
That's
guessing.
weird. That is weird. But yeah, it's been quite a while. Um, I moved out here for college in 2017. Oh wait, almost 7 years. My math's off, but anyways, um, but yes, it's going fabulous. I work at a behavioral health agency. I'm a case manager, so I coordinate services for youth, primarily youth, um, for like therapy services, coaching services, whatever behavioral health needs that the client needs. And I've been doing that for 3 years. And yeah, that's me.
That's you.
That's my life.
It's crazy to
Yeah.
think. I've been in Indiana for 10 years this year in August.
Wow.
Yeah, holy
Isn't
cow.
that weird? Isn't that something?
Yeah, and I didn't realize you've been out there for, yeah, three years shorter than me, because I you would have moved out
Yeah.
here my senior year of college. So we're
Yeah.
well
Isn't that
established
weird?
in our new lives, our new towns. We've left Ohio. I'm a little bit closer. You took the departure a little more seriously and kind of jumped to the other
I
side of the country.
launched. I launched. Yeah.
Living your best
It's
life.
it's a weird I don't know if you feel this way, but when I left home, I always just thought I'd end up back there,
Yeah.
you know? And then it's just kind of weird how like time just moves and then blank, it's been 7 years and there's been no return home.
Well, I think part of the thing that's difficult is when you move to a new location, you establish friendships and connections. I thought about moving back home my senior year, or not in with mom and dad, but just back to the Cincinnati area. But I just didn't know anybody, and there's actually a funny story. I don't know if you remember this, but I had contacted some company randomly, and I think it was like a finance or something kind of company, and it was in Eaton, Ohio,
Oh
which
yeah.
neighbors Hamilton. If for those of you listening that aren't from the area, it's the neighboring town west of Hamilton. And so I had an interview out there. I drove, I think it was 30 or 40 minutes to this building, and I walk in, the door's locked. So I walk into
Of
the building.
course.
It had a suite though. It was like on the ground floor. So I turned the handle. The door is locked. It didn't look like anyone was in there. This is a couple days after Christmas. So I go to there's another business kind of across the hall in this building, and I go over there and I go, hey, anybody at this company here today?" And they're like, "Oh, they come and go, during this week with the holidays and stuff. I have so and so's number. Let me reach out to them because I had just been emailing with this person. I don't think I had their phone number or anything. So I wasted, I think, 30 minutes waiting, drive all the
Oh
way
no.
home to get home and receive an email that said, "Yeah, I could be out there in 20 minutes." And they sent the email about 10 minutes after I left. So, needless to say, I didn't waste any more time with that company. But
Yeah. Oh, that's a bummer.
that was my only prospect in moving back. And then, yeah, I just had professors and whatnot that knew people in the area, and I got plugged in with what I thought was a great place at the time. So, just
But
been
it
going ever
wasn't.
since.
You set it up as like it to be a little dramatic. What I thought was a good good place at
Oh
the
yeah,
time.
we don't need to get into that story on this one.
Different time.
I think my first time out of college, I needed to do it. I needed to learn those lessons, but it's definitely not a fond memory or whatnot. So
We won't name drop.
we won't name drop. And no, actually, how long have you been at your job, Aleia?
3 years.
Because you graduated in 21.
Lopes up.
GCU girl. Yeah, so the GCU's basketball team, how about them, Aleia? They upset in the March Madness.
I know. I know. I was getting texts. I think I told you. I was getting texts on like Friday night or whenever the game was. Like Lopes up, bleed purple, whatever. And I didn't even know what was going on. I was just responding, yeah, Lopes up.
Sounds about right. Just go with the flow, right?
By the third text, I was like, I think there's something going on here, but um yeah, that's pretty cool. Is this their first year in March Madness? I don't even really know.
No, I think
Or is
they've been
that
in a couple times. I think. Yeah, I don't follow college basketball too closely, obviously, and being
obviously?
a philosophy podcast or whatever we happen to be on streaming services, but or not streaming. What do you call it? Like music platform, whatever. But
Are we on Netflix?
we're on Netflix right now. Yeah, good show. Siblings in chairs talking. Yikes. That's a bad joke. Maybe edit that one out.
We'll cut it out. We'll cut
We'll
it
cut
out.
it out. We'll cut that. But so I had Arizona winning this March Madness, and even at the time of this recording that we're doing now, that is looking grim. They've just lost, so
Sorry about that.
brackets in the toilet already. But I mean, my guesses aren't really based on anything. But a quick look at a paper and throwing out a name. But anyhow,
Is it for money?
no,
Are these
it's with my company, so it's just for fun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I just don't
Okay.
want to come in last. If you come in last, you bring in breakfast for the team, so it's kind of a fun little wager.
Dang. Well, at least you don't, lose your job or something.
Yeah, weakest link gets fired. Yeah.
Yeah. So they make their cuts.
That'd be a P&G game under who was Jack Welch, I think was that guy's name. He was a rather strict, or not strict, but he had a way of basically trimming out the people that weren't performing, or like the bottom of the tier. He would kind of turn over a lot intentionally.
Oh, interesting.
Little business for you on this this evening, for all you listeners out there, if you're still there. But
Who do
enough
we
with
think is
work.
listening? Oh.
Oh, we're not gonna name drop. Remember, we're not gonna call anyone out.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
But I figured we'd drop all this the job talk, and all that, and maybe move into something a little more fun, which is topical now at the time of the recording, and who knows, will probably still be relevant when the episode drops. But a movie we've both seen recently in our
Mm-hmm.
separate states that we live in, but have yet to talk about, which is Dune Part Two.
Yes. Yes. I watched it on Monday evening. And well, I watched the first one on what was that, Saturday? And that was my first time watching it. I I don't know. It was difficult to track. I'm definitely not like a sci-fi buff type of person. Um, but I could follow Timothy. So I kept up on that front. And I thought the ending of the first one was really great. It left me wanting a little bit more. The second one, sorry, I don't want to jump right into it, but man, it was so intense. It was way more intense than what I was expecting, and so much more frightening than what I was expecting. I was terrified half the time.
The first one I saw a number of years ago when it came out. I don't remember too much of it, or I don't remember it too well, but I was not very drawn into it because I think some of the plot is just it moves. Well, the first one I guess it didn't move as quick, but the world is so complex and you're just kind of dropped in. It's not a ton of exposition. I almost think a show like the or well, it's a movie, but that sort of movie would better lend itself to a show, which I like kind of what Star Wars has done, where you follow one character throughout a conflict or whatnot, and then it seems like they'll probably meet up at some point. I don't know if that's what they're planning on doing, but I like that better because it's so tough to, like you were saying, like get into the world and like it. You were saying it's nice to follow Timothy because that's a character. A lot of stuff is centered around, but some of these other peripheral characters, it's not always the easiest to remember what they're doing or what's going on. And
Right.
but I thought this one was a lot more interesting. The pace was really good. The the dynamic relationship between him and is it Zendaya? Is that how you're saying it?
Mm-hmm.
Zendaya. That was really
Don't
good.
act like you don't know.
I always want to say Zendaya, and I know that's wrong. And you know me with
Blasphemy.
names. I'm not the best with names. But yeah, but so the acting that those two did with just even when they weren't speaking, but when they looked at each other,
Mm-hmm.
there was just it felt like such a deep connection with those characters. Yeah, I was very
I
drawn to
know.
that because even the look, yeah, just but I really like the him saying, what was it? He said, "I love you as long as I breathe" or something to that effect.
Mm,
And then her response was, "I love you as long as you stay who you are."
mm.
And we won't give any
And spoiler.
spoilers.
Oh.
We won't give any spoilers because who knows? I don't like being that guy, even though it's been out for a while and we're talking about it. But later in the movie, he starts to change for various reasons and says that line back to her that I love you as long as I have breath, and she remains silent. So I thought that was really interesting.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the religious aspects of the film I thought was awesome. The way they kind of captured that culture and the belief or whatnot in this kind of messiah figure. But I
Mm-hmm.
think just based on a couple of short texts, you didn't love that. I don't think is that fair to say?
I don't know if I just didn't understand it or it obviously there's a lot of like religious themes in it and I didn't really know what the undertones were because some of the things you're watching are just like straight on feeling a bit satanic and it's not my cup of tea. So I I was a little bit frightened, but um yeah, I don't know like if you know like the background or the writer creator of Dune, like what the intentions were with that.
I don't. So Austin Stone, who's a co-host of this podcast.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out Austin. I went and saw it with him, and he had read the book. But we did talk about like the movie and the book and whatnot a little bit after.
What the frick?
You good?
Did you hear that?
No.
There was like some fighter jets that just flew over my house.
Oh wow.
Like
It didn't come through at all on my end. Maybe it will be in the recording. I don't know.
that was so weird. It was like a rumbling. Like it felt like thunder and I was like, "Oh, it's not raining." So I'm like looking around. I'm like, "Maybe it's a car," but it sounded way too close.
I think
And
it's
then I looked out.
right on cue because you're talking about how you thought it was satanic and then a loud noise and all this crazy stuff
That
is
was
happening.
so weird. That was so weird. It was like three really low jets that just flew by. What does that mean? Should I Google search?
I wouldn't Google it. You might not find like what you find there.
Gosh, it's the president. Who is it? Anyway, sorry.
Good to
Major
see.
disruption there.
No, you're fine. I think it ties in with the what were you thinking was satanic about the that was not something Austin and I discussed, but I wasn't sure if maybe he might feel the same way or have more of that background.
Um, honestly, anything with Austin Butler was just putting me off. I could barely look at him. He was playing that role a little bit too well, you know? And I think just the whole like slitting the throats and I guess like the satanic aspect of it was just like the little whispering the whole time, you know, like the whispering in a foreign tongue, but sounded a bit, you know.
Who's whispering? I don't know if I remember that.
I don't know who was whispering, but it's just kind of throughout the whole movie. There's some whispers going on, you know. You don't remember that?
I don't know if I do. For the main
Oh my
characters
gosh.
Austin plays, or
No, it's not him whispering. I want to say it's almost like a woman talking. I don't know. Or maybe it's the desert, the sand demons or whatever.
yeah, the Javier Bardem's character talks about something with that spirits or sand spirits. I can't remember, but yeah, wow. I don't know if I picked up on that, but there is definitely a
Anyway,
religious aspect to the movie that's very important, especially with him. I guess we are getting a little into spoiler alerts now, but so if you haven't seen it, maybe stop listening, viewer at home. But I think there is a bit of a, you know, that Paul is the character that Timothy plays. That's his name.
yeah.
I think there is some kind of him being a messiah is important to the plot, and it helps the people rise up and fight against the other group. I don't know all the names of the people, but the Fairman or Farron or Fremen, Fremen,
Fremen. Fremen.
Fremen.
Nailed it.
I think they're the stand people that he's with, the desert dwellers. But yeah, and I forget who they're all fighting, but yeah. So I thought it was good, and it's one of the better movies I've seen in theaters. I think in a while. So
What's the last movie you've seen in theaters before Dune?
I think it was actually Barbie maybe last year. Or no,
Oh wow.
I feel like we've probably been since then. That's the last one I remember being a big thing. But the best film experience I had was actually with Luke. We saw Oppenheimer in
Mm.
Indy at an IMAX on the 70 millimeter
Oh
screen.
yeah.
That was the best film experience I've ever had as far as being in
Wow.
theater.
Could you really tell a difference with the 70 millimeter?
I didn't think I would be able to because I'm a novice and I like movies and stuff, but I don't watch a ton of them and I don't have I would say a deep appreciation for them. but even me as somewhat of a novice could really tell a difference. And then Luke, who is a movie buff and a film critic, still working on that film he discussed on the podcast last year. If any of you listeners are interested, still working on that. But so he has a lot of experience, and he also really enjoyed it or thought it was amazing. And then me, as someone who doesn't watch a ton of film, it was the quickest probably 3 hours I've spent in the theater.
Really?
Crammed shoulder to shoulder next to people. You know, there wasn't a ton of room in that. It was a small theater, but yeah, it was just the experience was kind of like unmatched. So a real treat. I recommend
That,
it. There is one in Phoenix, I think, a 70 millimeter
yeah.
IMAX theater or whatnot. So.
We actually saw Dune in IMAX.
Oh, no kidding. Could you
Yeah.
tell a difference?
Well, I don't know if this is IMAX, but it was so loud. Did I tell you that?
Oh, you
It was
did.
so loud. I looked like a child. I was literally covering my ears. So I was just so embarrassed. But I was like, I have to, or I think they're gonna start bleeding. It was that loud.
Yeah.
And then I was like, was it just me? Like, was I just in a irritable mood already or something? And then Silas was complaining about it. And then the theater was pretty packed. And I could hear people when we were walking out, like they were gonna ask for a refund because it was so loud.
Wow.
But it was one of those things where I'm sitting there like surely someone's gonna complain and they'll turn it down. It's kind of like the bystander effect, you know?
Oh,
Like I'm not gonna say anything, but I'm sure someone else will.
yeah.
But anyways, yeah, I just suffered the whole movie. But
Any
yeah,
headaches as a result, or
no,
nothing serious?
no, minor hearing loss, but I don't think I have great hearing as is.
What's that?
I, ciao.
And that was Aleia Hauer, everybody.
um, yeah, like at work, if someone comes up behind me or like is behind my desk, I cannot hear them. And so as a result, I'm really jumpy because my hearing is so poor. So whenever someone comes up behind me, I like immediately get scared because I couldn't hear them or sense them coming.
Well, if it's at work, I have found when I get really in a zone and people are, I will block out the noise if I'm really just working on something. Is that the way that you might be at work too, or do you think it's just
No, that's not it.
any periphery noise? So if it's not directly,
That is so interesting. I feel like I can't really get into work like that.
oh,
Like where I'm so focused. I really struggle with like attention in general, I think. But yeah, that's just an interesting point. Like you get so enamored and lost in your work that you can't hear.
yeah, not every day, but there have been, I mean, a number of days recently where I'm so focused for so long, I will have a headache at the end of the day, just from
Wow.
it could be the screen, but it's part of it is yeah, just when I get really focused, I can get headaches, and yeah, people can be talking or doing whatever, and I'm just a lot of times too. It's tougher, I think, for my job to get lost in work that way, but for my creative projects, I can for sure get that way if I'm
Yeah, you've always been
writing
that way.
if I'm writing music or a story or something, then yeah, it's really difficult for me to engage in the present moment if I need to be interrupted. I'm not
Right.
interruptible. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just like thinking back on times where you'll be playing guitar and it's like, Logan, Logan, Logan. It's like you're sitting right next to me. I'm like, my gosh.
it's because I'm like not really there with you. I'm like in my own
Yeah.
world or
Yeah.
something. But yeah, I would just play guitar all the time too. When I was at home and I wasn't working or doing homework and we weren't hanging out as siblings or family or whatnot, then I was just always just up in my room tinkering and writing. And I'm really glad I did that, but I mean, you're probably aware I've been taking my foot off the gas a lot with the playing instruments and that sort of thing. So
I
maybe
was
this call is a wake up call for myself to get back into that.
Arab of Awakening.
My hit song from 9th or 10th grade. It's on
Um,
SoundCloud, Aleia. It sounds and listener
okay,
at home,
okay.
if you wanna find it, I wouldn't recommend that, but it's out like a minute of it. I think is out there.
Um, that segues to another point of you were saying when you get so lost in your work, like you get a headache from focusing all day. What are some ways that you decompress after work, or ways that you kind of fill your cup back up when the
Well,
clock strikes 5?
I think that's a good question. First of all, and as the host, I feel like I should be asking good questions, but I don't think I've had one yet. So you might have to take over, relieve me of my
This is more of
duties.
a discussion. I feel like this is just like a normal, FaceTime, but we're just recording it, you know?
Yeah, I feel that way too. And I think it works better for a podcast. Maybe the viewers will weigh in here, but I think it does kind of work better when it is just natural and it's not, you know, kind of that sort of way where I feel like I have to set up all these great
Perform.
perform. Yeah. Um, but anyhow, so you were saying at the end of the day, what's the best way for me to relax and unwind? And unfortunately, you're aware that I tore my ACL. I'm almost fully recovered now at the time we're recording. I'm on return to run, working towards So I'm not running, but I'm
Okay.
jumping, moving, agility kind of stuff. Shout out to Janet if she's listening, the physical therapist that I've been working with for the better part of 8 months now, I think.
So
Since I've
you
been
could do things like you could go golfing, you could play tennis maybe. You
no,
could go for a walk.
I could go. I can go for a walk. She said I can't rollerblade. I did ask about that. I mean,
That's
theoretically,
fatal.
like I probably could do some things. I'm just trying not to push myself too hard, and I don't want to. I don't want to have any lapses, or I don't want to have any because I've been making good progress. I don't want to have anything that sets me back. And I'm when this airs, I'll be right around 5 months since surgery, and so I think I'm like either ahead of the curve or kind of right on schedule with where I should be for an injury like the one that I had. Um, because I really don't want to tear it again. I don't want to get hurt in any kind of way if I'm overcompensating for this lack of use of that leg. It's still not 100% there. So I really don't want to
Do you
set
think
myself
it's like
back.
do you think it's like what is the word? Astrophy?
It
Astrophying
atrophied.
away.
It atrophied a little bit.
Astrophized.
You're a scholar.
Astrophysable.
Is it astrofeasible that we do this? Uh, so I think it did
Not
a little.
me. Not Hermione.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I
You
think
say that like Aunt Sue.
oh no,
Yeah.
bring her onto the podcast, huh? That'd be a hit. Good old Aunt
Ciao.
Sue, 80-year-old aunt, great aunt on the podcast. But uh, now I'm thinking of talking like her for the rest of the time, which I will not do. But needless to say,
Thanks.
to answer your question, I would love to play hockey in a league or just out in the neighborhood, rollerblade my dog, go for a run, do something like that, just active and physical. But I haven't been able to do that in 8 months. So
Mhm.
I've returned to reading, which I love. That's always a
Mhm.
great way for me to stop thinking about myself, my worries,
Yeah.
job, whatever else, and just delve into a different world that's hopefully stretching me and making me think
Pause.
better.
Question.
You
How is your reading comprehension? Like, do you have to, well, I guess you kind of read books like Lord of the Rings type books, don't you?
No, not necessarily. I actually have never read
Fiction,
the Lord of the.
if you will.
I do read some fiction. So right now I'm reading 1984 by George Orwell, which is fiction, but
Oh, wait, is that the one with the books?
Fahrenheit
No, no,
451,
that's Fahrenheit 451.
which I have on my shelf actually upstairs.
Numbers.
I'm the accountant. You're the person that works with people. So, but no, it's about like a totalitarian society, which was set in the future at the time the book was written. Because I think it's written in the 40s or something. But it's basically about a totalitarian state that has complete and total control over the citizens. It's set in England, but England is called Oceania after this communist revolt, or maybe it's socialist revolt happens, and all that jazz. So I'm only about half of the way through that, but that's a really good read, and it is a little sad to think there are definitely similarities between the society that he talks about and then like corporate America. It's a little unsettling how not I'm not saying it's verbatim one for one, but there are similarities of the meaningless jobs and things of that nature that
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm.
seem very spot on that he was writing
Do you
about.
have one that you're thinking of?
Oh, like one that
Meaningless
I'm
jobs.
no. Well, so there's an article that I actually have not read all of it, and there's also a book by the same title. It's called Bullshit Jobs, and it's a lot about. So I
Are you
think
gonna have to put explicit on the
maybe
podcast now?
mom can't listen to
It's
it.
gonna have a little E next to it.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyways.
yeah, maybe a good marketing strategy, but the premise of the article is how, and again, hope I'm saying this right because I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's essentially saying a lot of the jobs are just meaningless, and we're diffusing responsibility across so many different jobs and positions. Who's actually responsible for the work that's getting done? Things of that nature. So just the more bureaucratic you get as a society or a company or whatnot, it's just easy for things to slip through the cracks, or it just can sometimes feel like you're punching numbers into a computer and kind of feels meaningless, or you can feel disconnected from the work or and really the reward of
Hmm.
what you're doing. So I'm very thankful right now. I don't feel that way with my job at all. I love where I'm at and what I'm doing, but you know, it's definitely in roles that I've had in the past, and in just thinking of friends or family or whatnot. Just yeah, I think there's the closer you can get to doing the actual thing is the best for you, instead of just punching the clock and doing a little playing with numbers or screens or whatever it is that you do. It's if you can
Right.
understand the scope of what you need to do and how it's important to not only you but like the company, I think that's a lot better. So your job, for instance, your boots on the ground, you're working with these families. It's not always pretty, but you are that role that you do, I think, fills an important need in society.
Thank you. Thank you, Logan. I know we're kind of off track here, but I've had this thought recently about, and I don't, this isn't definitely like a revolutionary thought. It's just something that's finally like clicked for me, but how if we're working, we're all like contributing back into society. And, like I have these thoughts of like in my role, like I might be helping like a child who needs therapy or whatever. And then after my day, I go to dinner, and then my waiter is my client's dad or something, and or now he's giving back to me type of
Yeah.
thing. And then I don't know, I just think that's really interesting how like we all can play different roles in each other's lives or can contribute back in some fashion.
Yeah, we all need each other, and it's almost like the Christian idea of I forget where the verse comes from, but the body of Christ, being like an actual body, and the hands and the feet and the eyes and the all that stuff.
Hmm. Yeah.
Can't remember what verse that is, but like we are the body of Christ, and like how every person can have a unique and different function, and like a society
Yeah.
works in a similar way where, yeah, you might be helping this family in this one area, but they could be serving you in another. And I think
Hmm.
that's like it's good to have reciprocal relationships like that too, in our friendships or neighbors or whatnot. To be, I again, this is more of my personal maybe philosophy or outlook on life, but I really like the idea of being invested in the community and those around you, and taking interest not just from a selfish standpoint, but a genuine interest in the well-being of other people. And I think that makes us happier instead of fighting over what we have and gathering our possessions, hoarding it, and protecting everything. It's I don't know,
Hmm.
but
Anyways, we went way off topic from what you're saying, the ways that you decompress after work. So you were saying reading is definitely one,
yeah, and I think we
exercise
can
is
we
one,
can
but
totally go off topic. I mean, it's funny if someone's listening.
sorry,
It's
I was
like
trying to facilitate.
we've been on this question and veered, and now we're back again. But I think it's awesome, and yeah, you don't have to
To be
apologize for
fair,
going off.
this is just like in a view into how our family communicates too. It's like we start on one thing and then that initial topic gets abandoned and then we're 3 hours down into a rabbit hole.
And I love that too because it is, yeah, we're just always. I think it. I've never worked in a writer's room, but that's the way our family hangs out. Is just like this idea, and then it's this idea, and then we're just. It's just a fun.
Yeah.
I think at least it's a constantly fun hangout, and it allows us to be lighthearted and funny and whatnot. We all have very different personalities and outlooks on things, and I loved your perspective and Luke's perspective, and it's different from my perspective, and
Hmm.
it just makes for really good conversation because I think it's not like
Amen.
we've never, well, maybe at times, but especially in our as we're grown now, we don't really compete with each other to, oh, I'm the best at this, I'm we just
Right.
hang out and yeah, just
We
talk.
genuinely love talking. Like it is yapathon central when we're together. We talk so much.
Yeah, we do.
Like it's just funny for sorry cutting you off, but it's funny to have, like our significant others now like be a part of the family. And like I know we've talked about this quite a bit, but it's like overwhelming to them and like overstimulating to like sit in a room with our family because it's like all we do is yap and we get nothing done. Like we don't we don't do activities necessarily. It's just like we're just talking. And Silas is like, oh my gosh, like we need to get out of this house. We need to go do something.
Yeah, which
He
is
has to
like the
wrangle us
exact
away.
opposite of the when we're together. We're like, finally, we don't have to do things. We can just be around each
Mm.
other. Yeah, it's just funny that just
Not for Peyton and Silas and Amanda.
yeah,
They're like do.
yeah, yeah, it's tough. And
But
like because you and me and Luke hung out so much and had similar friends and sense of humor, we can just go and go and go, and then they're like, wait, what was that? What is this?
they keep up. They keep up. They do a good job. But
Yeah, it's not easy hanging with the Hauers. Is kind of what I've learned.
yeah, and then add Shelly on top of all that.
What are you
Talk
guys
about
talking
yap.
about? We love you, Mom.
She's not listening.
She'll listen in a year after she's catching up on episodes. But anyhow, so getting back to your point, your question, which was decompress after a long day of work. What do you like to do? So, I mean, what I can do now, even with the leg being injured, or recovering, not fully injured right now, but is walk the dogs. And sometimes I like to do like a house project or clean or something, just to feel accomplished if I had a day where I was just in a lot of meetings or chasing emails or didn't feel like I got a lot accomplished. I like to come home and try to do a project or something like that. But it's kind of been mostly reading. Historically, though, it was always playing guitar. That trumped everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just sitting and playing guitar, writing music. And I want to get back into writing. There's a podcast airing next week that I think I've told you a little bit about with Jordan Harris, one of our high school friends. And Luke, and I especially had a really good like chemistry for creating funny videos and things of that
Yeah.
nature. But he has since gotten into writing, and I've realized in all the things that I've done, that's my one through line in most of my hobbies and stuff. I just really like to write and come up with ideas. So I'm being more aware of things now, and I'll write them down on my phone. But I think some days I need to just sit down at the computer and do it. That might not be the most relaxing thing after a day of work, but I know that that's something I feel would be beneficial to look back on. And I used to
Amen.
journal too. That in high school, that used to be a very relaxing.
Gerbil?
I used to gerbil, yeah. Journal in high school.
Remember Luke's dumb hamster that he rolled like a bowling ball
Elephant. We
by
were just talking
accident?
about that last weekend. I was in Ohio visiting mom and dad, and yeah, I thought he dropped him. I thought it bit him, and he dropped him. Mom's like, no, he rolled him like a bowling ball, and I'm like, oh, it's so much worse.
Why was he allowed to have an animal at that age? He's too young.
I don't know. We always loved animals. We always had animals kind of in and out. You and your guinea
Well,
pigs, Aleia.
yeah, I had the pigs. I had the
I had the
oinkers.
rabbits. I love the rabbits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
freaking weirdo.
I
It's freaking weird.
have a gentle nature about me, Aleia.
Ciao.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, was it your gerbil that escaped and then we found him in your closet? Like
I have
months
such a bad
later?
memory. I have such a bad memory. I couldn't tell
Your
you.
memory is actually kind of scary because it kind of gaslights me into thinking that like things didn't actually happen
Oh no.
when I know that they when I know that they did. And then Luke remembers like every single detail about everything and I'm like you've got to be making some of this up.
I know.
Like there's no way all of this
Luke
happened.
knows my memory's bad, and he'll just make things up. I feel like because he knows that I
Right,
wouldn't
yeah.
know one way or the other. He's like, on March
Yeah.
17th, 2012, you said to me, blah, 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 or we did X, Y, and Z. I'm like, maybe we did. I have no. That's why. But being interested in writing is good for me because that helps me to remember if I can write some of the stuff down. But yeah, I want to turn the question back on you then. Like, you've been no stranger to a long day's work and stress and whatnot. What do you like to do to unwind?
That's a great question. I think it
It's
just
your own
depends.
question.
As I said, great question. Um, it definitely depends on the season, which is kind of funny. But I know winter here isn't, a winter back in the Midwest, but um I think I have a harder time like having boundaries with work when it's not like sunny out past like 5 o'clock. Once the clock strikes 5 and the sun is still out and it's warm, It's like there's no way I'm gonna be working past 5. But in the summer or in the winter, it does get a little bit hard with the boundaries, balancing life and work. But summer is just, I love going on a walk after work. Like that's like my favorite thing to like be outside in nature and also being around people too, which I think I can struggle with in the sense that I'm like, oh, I can't do anything tonight. Like I have to like catch up on this or I have to do that. And then once you do like make time for your friends and you spend time with like the people that mean the most to you, it just is so refreshing and more recharging than anything else. So yeah, that's my answer.
Good answer.
People and outside. And my fiance, of course, too.
Let's not forget
My
the
Yance. Can't forget him.
a special person. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out. And right now it's like been fun too, because we have been like wedding planning after work, or we've done a good job of like sketching in time to get some stuff done. But
Is that more stressful or relaxing? Would you say that's relaxing to plan that after work?
um, it depends because when it gets too stressful, then I just like push it off in my mind. But we're doing like the fun stuff right now, like the registry. Um,
Oh, that is fun. Yeah.
yeah, it was fun. We did get into like a little tip this morning because we were looking at plates. The first thing Silas wanted to put on the registry was plates, and which is fine, but I'm like, why is that the first thing that you are thinking of putting on there? But he's just showing me all these different like plates, like flatter plates or curved plates or whatever. I'm just saying no to every single one. I'm like, no, I don't like that. No, I don't like that. He's like, he's like, you're so impossible. We're not gonna have any plates on the registry. But anyways,
That
I
is,
don't.
we received some advice from some married friends that they, after they had gotten married, they wish they would have put more kitchen stuff on there.
Hmm,
So, and then I felt like we went way overboard on kitchen stuff, especially for the amount of space we had.
really?
Yeah. So, and I mean, we use quite a bit of the stuff, but I feel like there are a couple things where we've used like less than 5 times in almost 4 years of marriage. So,
Like what? Give me some helpful tips here.
oh, like what you should put on the registry?
What what is one thing that you wish you wouldn't have put on, and then what's one thing you wish you would have put
Well, some of the stuff that I would
on?
have put on is I don't even know the names of the stuff. It's just in the kitchen. It's Fuji Ninjas, whatever. That kind of I don't really know what it does. It does
The
work.
brand names.
Yeah, it's not even that. It's just I just don't understand the functionality of it. It's like I would never use it and whatnot, but like it's nice, I guess. But it just sits in our uh, pantry for most of the time. But um, that's the better question is though, like, yeah, what should you put on it? And Peyton, I will say handle all that stuff very well. I had very little preference on what what was on there, and I think most of that's I'm highly independent, so it's nice if people want to know
Shout
my
out.
stuff, but I'm all. But you're kind of that way too. Like I feel like you and I are pretty like to be independent, have our space to like figure stuff out. Excuse me, kind of burped
Yeah.
there. But so one thing I think that I would have put on though, like we didn't. I don't think we put like any fun things on. Like
Hmm.
it was all like kitchen. It was all very practical, and but even within that same vein of like being practical, like that same thought of being practical, I wish we would have put a bed frame on there because we got a bed, but we didn't get the frame. I think
Oh,
so. That was like,
do you
oh,
have a bed frame now?
we got it on Bid FTA when they were
Oh,
still in
really?
Indy. Yeah.
Shout out.
So
Oh, they closed all
they
of them in
closed
Indy
that
too.
location. Yeah. So that really bummed me out. But yeah, we got one on there for like $4 or something. it's missing a couple pieces, but I kind of jerry rigged it together so it works. But um, yeah, it's not the prettiest sight if you took our mattress off, probably, but who cares? It looks
It
fine.
works, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, we
Actually,
got.
I got my sorry, I got my mattress off of Bid FTA.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
You like it?
Yeah.
Does the job?
It probably you know those mattresses that have like fiberglass in them or whatever? Have you heard about that?
No, I don't think I have.
There's like I don't know if it's a brand or certain types of mattresses, but it like came out that there's like actual like fiberglass in the mattress.
Oh, geez.
So obviously like sleeping on that every night and breathing that in is
Not good.
harmful. But anyways, I don't know. But
Well, ours was just. I think it was on our registry, the mattress, but it was just cheap off of Amazon. Anyways, it was one
oh
of those you
nice.
unfold it and it
Yeah.
got
Does that thing.
does that thing, it gets bigger over time for some reason. But yeah, no, that like that was just little things like that where you'd like get the one thing but not get the thing that goes with it. That was
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I fell victim to that a few times.
it also helps to know like we had a house, so I feel like that there was just so much stuff we could do with that. We had just bought a house, and but if you guys are in an apartment, it might be a little easier to say like, okay, we don't need a ton of kitchen stuff, or we don't need a ton of all this other stuff.
Right.
Maybe we could get something fun or what. I don't even know what a fun thing would be because I like more experiences than things.
Tell me this. I
The Aleia show.
um the fact that we didn't grow up like camping really ever. Like we would camp like in the backyard and
Uh-huh.
things like that, but we spent a lot of time like in the woods and creeking and hiking type
Yeah.
stuff, but we never really went camping. And at least like out west, that's such a normal thing. Like all my friends grew up camping or going on
It's pretty
camping trips
common
and
in
things.
Indiana too. Yeah.
I just think it's kind of funny that not funny, but like mom and dad just like don't really value that. They don't really value like traveling or getting out in that
Traveling
way.
is stressful for them, and I just think our family when we were growing up, it was not like a fun. Oh, we get to go to. It's like dad's just quietly driving, like like until we get there, kind of thing.
Yeah. And packing, oh gosh, packing with dad is like frightful. Talk about terrifying.
Yeah, and you
Dune
actually do that a
too.
lot now with living in Arizona and traveling back and forth. So
Yeah. I do like traveling alone. Like flying by myself. I I think is easier just because you're not waiting on someone else or someone else you don't feel like you need to rush for anyone. And you just get the sense of like such independence, you know? But it is nice to have Silas there to put my bag in the overhead container. But
yeah,
that does
so
stress me out.
you're not on your tiptoes with like a 20-pound bag swaying.
Exactly. I always have to practice, before just to make sure I can even lift up my bag. I'm like, I'm about to have to do this in front of 100 people on a plane. I hope I can even pick it up.
Right, no pressure.
Yeah.
Performance of a lifetime.
Most of the time, I'll ask Silas to whatever, do it for me. And lately, when we've been traveling, I'll be like, no, you need to learn how to do it on your own. And he won't do it anymore. It makes me so mad. But, anyways,
Toughening you up there for a life of marriage.
I know. I know. He challenges me. uh, oh, man. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, back to the camping thing though. Is that
Oh yeah,
something that you feel like you will want to do when you start having children?
I've really thought about it. Um,
It was kind of random, but it was just something that I was thinking of.
Yeah, like I camped. So Dad, Luke, and I would go camping with our cousins Matt and Andrew. Shout out.
Oh,
Another
yeah,
Greg. But you wouldn't go like it was like a guys trip. But then that
boys only.
it was only tent camping for like a year or two, and then it turned into, or maybe it was longer.
Glamping.
Yeah, like we would get a cabin in the woods or something like that. Like it kind of once we got to a certain age. So all that stuff's blurry. I mean, I feel confident if I needed to go camping, I would be fine,
Yeah,
and I think it would be fun. But I think
it's
what
so
kind of
fun.
ruined it for Peyton and I was when we took our trip out east to Maine, and we camped the one day it rained that entire trip that we were out east, and it happened to be in what was the park? Acadia National Park. Was that what it was?
I don't know. I don't know if it was or not.
I thought it was,
It was
but
definitely deep in Maine. It's in
yeah,
the
but
thick of it.
it was the only time it rained. The campsite that we had was like downhill, and in hindsight, we probably should have just moved our campsite because there was almost no one else there because they knew it was going to rain. And so I think ever since then, like Peyton and I have been like, maybe not go tent camping.
Peyton was
I
traumatized by that.
yeah, I would be open to going because I've gone with friends. I can't remember if I've gone since that time. And gosh, that I mean, even that was 5 years ago now. That trip that we did.
That's so weird. That was
I've
such a
been with
fun trip.
friends a couple times camping, and it's just so fun because it's very much a Hauer thing that we value of just sitting around, swapping stories, maybe
Being
drinking.
outside.
Yeah, being
Yeah,
outside. So yeah,
yeah. I really wanted to go camping when you guys were here in Phoenix.
and
Because,
last October,
yeah, I mean, obviously, I didn't know that there was an engagement happening that weekend, but
your engagement.
my engagement of all things. But there's some really great like campsites out here, obviously. But um it's fun because I'm not necessarily like great at setting up a tent or knowing all the ins and outs of camping, but all my friends do. So it's nice to have like people that do have those skills in their back pocket. And
Yeah,
um we just went like last week. Yeah, we went last weekend. And it started pouring rain in the middle of the night. And I didn't bring a tent because I just was like, oh, I'll just bunk with someone else. But no one else brought a tent either. So I slept in Silas's trunk. And like I just slept with like he has like a hatchback or whatever. So I just slept with it open, like his trunk open. And I have bruises like all over my like the side of my leg from
mosquitoes.
no, I do from like sleeping in his trunk. I don't know why. I guess it was just so hard. Like the because I didn't bring blankets
Oh,
really to like,
I thought you were saying the
you know.
mosquito bites were so bad and you've been scratching them or something. They were
Oh
like,
no, I just got like bruises from like sleeping in his trunk. It was
oh,
that hard. But anyways,
when your
side
parents weren't
note,
tough.
yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think you would thrive in a on a campsite. Luke, I don't know.
I don't think Luke would be very interested in camping. I would go with him if, well, he's gone a lot because they went out
He used to,
west,
yeah.
him in a
He used
group,
to
and
camp a lot.
they used to camp a lot. But I always thought that was more so his friends were interested in that, so he did it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, he's probably been camping more in the last 5 years than I have, I would say.
Yeah.
5 or 10 years, give or take. But yeah,
Yeah.
maybe
Anyways,
maybe that's something we get back into at some
can
point. I don't
do.
know. Yeah,
It's
maybe.
just like the camping out in the Midwest is just different than camping here,
Well, you
you know.
guys out in Arizona have so many nice views and mountains, and different things like that.
Yeah. 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 There's beauty anywhere, you know?
Yeah, there is. Is all this talk about camping making you want to plan a trip or something? Like,
Yeah. I feel like we don't really go on a lot of like family trips.
we haven't gone on one in like two,
Years.
yeah, a couple of years.
Yeah,
We're due. Well, we got
we're
one
due.
coming
We're
up in
overdue.
August. Shout out
August.
Conneaut Lake, PA.
Yeah, I know.
Stomping
I'm so
grounds.
excited.
Ooh, ready to get back there.
I know. It's been 4 years. It will be 4 years this summer.
Because yeah, 2020 was that the last time we went? Or
Yeah. I haven't been since I broke my foot.
and you got to stay at Conneaut the whole week because you told them you broke your foot or something like that.
Yeah.
Lawyer at the time.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, for the listeners
Shed
out
ball.
there, if you're
Remember?
still there,
We invented a game called Shed Ball.
shed ball, yeah.
Luke, Aiden, myself, and maybe Eddie joined in at some point. Um,
It'll be so weird. Like Abby and Eddie are gonna have a full-on child.
yeah, be different this time.
John, oh no, John and Keelan had Noah four
Yeah,
years ago.
Noah was just born the last time
He
we
was an
went.
infant, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Keelan could barely drink. Side note. Um, are we off topic? I can't remember what the last thing we were talking about was.
Well, I think yeah, I forget what our through line was there. I forget what we were. Well, oh no, well, it's kind of fitting because I think we were talking about how how our family is always jumping on and off topic, um, and yeah, so I think it's very fitting that now we're like, what was the topic? Because it's maybe there was never one to begin with.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know. I think we're at a good stopping
What's
point unless you had
oh
anything
yeah.
else, any last thoughts, any takeaways.
Has it been an hour? Oh my gosh, I did not realize that.
No. So
Not really. I think it was just fun to yap around with you, but
always fun to yap.
always fun to yap. What is your like is there a podcast that is like your inspiration or that you enjoy listening to on a regular basis?
Yeah, I've never been asked that actually. And you've done a very good job, I feel like, of interviewing me throughout this time, which has kind of been fun. I think I really like.
50, 15 hour, right?
What is it?
It's a 15 hour, right?
Oh, we could talk money after the show. Yeah.
Go. Here, 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 here.
Um, so conversations with Coleman, hosted by Coleman Hughes. I've really I like the way that he talks and things. He's a philosophy podcaster. I like obviously like Joe Rogan. Some of his are good.
Uh-oh. You just lost a listener.
Oh, you don't like Joe?
I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Is he
well,
controversial? I don't know.
maybe. I think some people don't like him.
Politics.
Barry Weiss has a podcast called Honestly that I like. And
Body?
Len Lowry has a podcast. I'm blanking on the name of it now. Um,
Sounds familiar. Len Lowry.
yeah, no, he's an older gentleman, but he's a very
Just the way we like him.
brilliant mind. He was an economist, or he's a professor at Brown University, I believe. So those are some of my inspirations that I like and listen to regularly. But
Have you what was I gonna say?
well,
Have you
I forgot to I left out. I also listen to quite a bit of hockey podcasts, and we're in a fantasy hockey league together, Aleia, and we're actually in playoffs against each other right now. But I don't think you've been setting your roster really been up to the ante here.
is that still going on?
That might be your last week.
I was really into it in the beginning and then I forgot
Well, you got
all about it.
engaged, and there's just been so much stuff going on. It's understandable, but
No
I had to throw
excuse.
that out there as a little like
No
fun
excuse.
joke or whatnot. But, yeah.
Do you listen to Smartless still?
Oh yeah, I like Sparkless. I forgot about to mention that. Yeah.
I love Smartless. Did you listen to who did they just have on? Oh, Jake Gyllenhaal.
I haven't listened to any in the last couple months. I've just been busy with work and I've been reading a lot in my free time, so I haven't been listening to too many pod. And well, there's so much new music coming out. Have you been keeping up with any of that?
Well, I think we talked about Casey. You didn't really like Casey's album, did you?
I I think I like it if it's like calm, chill morning, something like that. But it didn't have a lot of range. I felt like it was just every song was in that same kind of like pocket, which is fine. There are plenty of artists I like that are that way, that'll just kind
Yeah.
of do the same type of thing for each song. But and I like a couple like Give or Taker, I like that one. Um the
Who?
Architect
Yeah.
offer new album
Who else
out.
has music that's coming out?
Well, Chris Renzema, or it might be Renzema. Some people say it differently. I say
Eczema.
Eczema. Yeah, watch out for him. But yeah, no, I like Chris's stuff. He has an album called Mana out right now, which is really good. Most of it came out last year. He had Mana Part 1, and then this is like the full thing. So there's only like 3 or 4 new songs probably, but still a really good album. 21 Pilots has been releasing new singles, which I've liked.
Yeah, I just listened to one of them, I think this morning. It was really
Yeah,
good.
they had a new one come out like this week, I think.
Yeah.
Last week, but...
It was way better than the first one that they released, I thought.
Oh
I am though.
yeah, yeah. I like both, but the first single overcompensates. Definitely more of like we're gonna open our concert with this song kind of thing.
Hmm.
And the other one felt just more like an early 2000s song that's like been amped up for like present day,
Yes.
which I
It felt
really
like
like.
like All American Rejects or something
Yeah,
from
Fall Out Boy and
Fall Out Boy, yeah.
yeah, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Although
more of
Fall
an
Out Boy's
FOB
still
vibe.
going too, they're still making stuff, but and that yeah, it's just the list is very long because Wolfpack, their frontman Jack Stratton or Stratton, what's his name? But whatever, he has a group called Wolfmon, or it's a solo project called Wolfmon, and he's been releasing some really killer singles, and I think there's going to be an album coming out soon. Um, Jacob
Did you listen?
Collier, I've been trying to get you to listen to Jacob Collier. I think
I was
his
about to say that sounds familiar.
his Jesse Four is insanely good. Like that's probably going to be the best album that comes out this year, and it like came out in March or whatever. But
Did you listen to that Hozier song I sent you?
yeah, I did. Yes. Was it Untied or what was it called?
No. Too
What was it?
Sweet.
Oh, Too Sweet. That's yeah. I like that one though.
That song kind of bangs. That's a good one.
Yeah, he had an EP come out.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Do you like Remy Wolf?
I've listened to a couple of her songs, but I haven't listened to albums or anything of hers.
She just had a single come out, Cinderella.
Oh, yeah, I listened. I like that. Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
heard
that's
that.
so funny.
Yeah.
It was so, the beginning is so good. It's so funky.
Yeah. It was a groove. I listened to it driving like in the car, so it was like really nice to
Yeah.
have it on the.
What is the best, like, windows down, summer vibes, sun is shining on your face, cool breeze?
You're gonna hate my answer because it's
What song is
probably
on the radio?
well, it's like probably like a Mumford and Sons Babel album or Babel, just playing
Hmm.
Babel, whatever that is.
Is that because it's nostalgic or because the music is fitting that mood?
Well, like if I'm driving through like the country or something, it's like I want to have like a folk music or something playing, and there's this band, or maybe it's a woman solo. I need to listen to her album. It's called Waxahachie or something.
I've never heard of it.
But she has this single that I was listening to that I really like. Oh, Bleachers has a new album too.
Ah,
I didn't really care for. I liked. They had a song on there called "Call Me After Midnight," which is
yeah.
really. That's a great song.
I think I listened to that one.
I didn't care for the rest of it really, but that was a great song.
Do you like Lana Del Rey?
I
Hey, I
like.
never asked you.
What
Do
about
you like
Lana?
guacamole?
That's her new podcast. What about Lana? We're just super fans. I've listened to the same thing with her. Like I've listened to singles that I like, but I've not listened to albums. And I do like her though. And
Yeah.
Maggie has Maggie Rogers has
Yeah.
singles coming out that are pretty good too.
She just so sick of daydreaming or something
Yeah, I
like
like
that.
that one. So sick of
Sick of
daydream was good. But do you
yeah.
like Lana? Sorry, you were asking.
I never really listened to her to be honest until recently. But she's kind of like if I'm on a road trip or something and playing a playlist and one of her songs comes on, I'm like, who is this? This is so good.
Yeah,
And then I just kind of forget about her again. But
I liked.
maybe better about that.
Or I want to read. She has a poetry book out called Violet Bent Over Backwards or Violet Bent Backwards Over something. Ah, crap! I can't remember what it's called now. But
Huh.
I want to read that her book of poetry.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah, the title's interesting and the artwork looks cool. So don't judge a book by a cover, but it does make me want to read it looking at the cover. So I don't know what to do with that.
Um, who oh, Ariana Grande just released an album too.
Yeah, I probably it's probably
You'll
too
skip that one, huh?
for me. Yeah,
I
too
thought it was
down
good though.
too down the middle. I'm too edgy and cool and punk rock, right?
Of course. Yeah. Of course. Oh, I forgot to tell you. Marcus Mumford is at the Oscars looking extremely dapper a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
His
what's he
wife
looking
is
at?
in oh, what was his wife in? Oh, Maestro
I
with
don't know. I
Bradley
haven't heard of
Cooper.
that.
It's on Netflix. It's with
Oh,
Bradley Cooper. Am I totally lying right now? I think that's the movie.
yeah. Like I know a lot more about what's going on with music. I have a bit of a trouble staying up with movies and stuff.
I love both.
I
I'm
know
I just
you're
love
good
the
at
pop culture.
you're
I
good
love
at
it
keeping
all.
up with both.
Yeah, I don't know why I've always just loved like celebrity gossip drama. Like the stuff that like does not matter, but I think I like it more so now more than ever. I don't know why, but yeah. Did I tell you when mom was here, I made her watch like the SAG Awards or something? I was like, she's like, I don't know who any of these people are.
That's funny, but
She's such a trooper.
she's such an inclusive person. She just probably liked that you offered that and wanted to be a part of it with you, you know, or whatever.
Yeah, she's the
Uh,
best.
that's awesome. Yeah, and I'm
Anyway,
like,
sorry.
no, I'm wanting to look at. I'm sorry, I typically don't do this while we're recording a show and stuff, but oh, Dawes is gonna be in town in Fort Wayne at least, or
Dogs?
Fort Wayne. Dawes, yeah. Or no, what is Pawpaw? Where's that? Maybe that's not near me. I don't know. Why I'm getting. I don't know.
Papa?
I don't know what that is. Maybe that's a venue. I don't know. Anyhow, sorry. Wasn't expecting that. Oh, Beatenberg has a new album. I think it's an album or an EP
Oh,
called Wheelbarrow. The title track
can
is
you
really good. It's really catchy.
um I just discovered something terrifying. Marcus Mumford is only 37 years old.
Only?
So that means when he released Sigh No More, he was 22.
Yeah, that sounds right.
He was only 22 when that album came out.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, I'm about to spiral. What the heck? I'm 24 and I've written a single song.
I've written many a bad song. Do you have one
This is
single
another
bad?
thing. Okay, guess how old Ed Sheeran is?
I would say 30. Like, or 32.
33.
Oh, it's close.
But I remember recently learning he was like 18 or something when his first album came out.
Wow.
It was something like that.
I mean, I used to play so much music and write so much. I probably could have done something like that. I'm just not as good enough singer. I had the songwriting and the guitar chops. I just can't sing well enough to like engage a large audience or whatnot. But um, Fearless Flyers, if you've heard of them, they had an album I think it was called Fearless Flyers 4 that came.
I've heard of them, but maybe because you've talked about them.
Yeah, that came out in February. That was really good. Um, oh, we got to shout out Aleia. We got to shout out Josue Hernandez, who we went to.
Shout out.
I went to high school with, and we're good friends with their family and stuff. He released with his band Los Seringas. They released an EP in March this month. Like, I think it was like this week or last week or something. Very recent.
Wait, so cool.
It'll be a couple weeks, I guess, by the time this airs. But it's called Fantasy, and it's spelled like Fantasea. So it's fantasy, but it's like the ocean, sea. Play on
Oh, fantasy.
very clever
Very clever.
and good. Haleacre has some new singles coming out. I mean, sorry, I'm diving into my Spotify now at this point, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff. Dermot Kennedy had a new EP, so
Uh-oh.
good year for
What's your
music.
number one? Sorry. What's your number what's your number one song on, you know how Spotify makes like your on repeat playlist or whatever?
I don't know if I know what that is. It says it on there on Spotify.
Yeah. It normally it says it like on my home page.
Oh, a repeat?
Did it come up?
What section is that on? Fresh new music? No, that's
Wait, that's weird. Maybe
what is yours called? I don't even see it.
the Newsboys just came out with a new album. Um, Mine's just on my homepage. It says,
Oh, it's like a
oh
playlist.
wait, yeah, that like Spotify makes for you.
Our blended playlist is pretty good. I like our blended one on Spotify.
You should listen to that. Oh, I think it's in the made for you category.
Oh, where's Made for You? Is on the homepage? This has to be so interesting for the viewers that like Logan doesn't know how to use an app. Wow, this is it's unsurprising, but yeah, great content. Anyway,
Sorry to the listeners.
no,
Anyways,
we haven't referenced them in a while. I hope they're still out there and stuff,
I love when
or maybe
Jason
not.
Bateman on Smartlist when he says listener. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, because that's
He does that a lot.
I try to be that. So when it's Austin, Patrick, and myself, I try to be that person that is trying to bring the audience along with us. And I hope I succeed at that for the most part. But
You're doing a great job facilitating.
thank you. Yeah, it's tough because I want to talk to you, but I'm also like, there's this group of two people that are listening that I need to bring
But
along.
don't you think it's almost more entertaining to just like us just talking and then they're just like listening? Or is that weird?
Yeah, I don't know. Because yeah, is it for them or is it for us? That's even I think Austin Patrick and I have talked about that where you just want to basically be having a conversation, but then especially if there are references to the past or something that people might not know, you gotta
For
bring them up.
Tracy.
Yeah, for Tracy in Wisconsin. Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. Wow, Aleia, thank you for being on the call. We are, I think, overtime, so thank you for being generous and hanging out with me tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like we were just FaceTiming and there was a
Yeah,
record
we
button.
recorded. That's kind of yeah. That's
But I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the pod.
Anytime. You're welcome back anytime too. So maybe we'll do this again sometime, or maybe the show will end. Who knows? It's all it's
Logan,
all up in the air all the time.
so many paths.
But anyhow,
Well, thank you, thank you.
yeah, thank you. It was great talking to you, and we'll do this again soon.
Heck yeah.
As in, an episode will be out next week for all you listeners out there, if you're still there. Bye.
Goodbye.